Welcome back to Archangel. This video is a little bit different because not only is this going to be premiering on the ministry site, but this is also going to be on the new security page as well for ASOC. So I'm extremely happy to have a good friend and brother on here tonight with me, Byron Rogers, owner of Protector Nation, Executive Protection Lifestyle. Byron, I'm glad you could do this with me tonight, man. Why don't you tell these people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Jason, it's an honor to be here, brother. It is an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm still shocked. I was still, just sitting here while you were talking and thinking about our episode, man. Your story is so powerful, man. It's an honor that you've come through the things by the grace of God. You have the way you have, and that you're like a weapon in the hand of God as a result. That's just amazing. So I just want to, honor you for having me and allowing me to be here. As far as me and my background, I do executive protection. That's really all I've ever done outside of being an infantry Marine and doing some deployments to Iraq. I started doing this work when I was 21. I'm 35 now. I've done it all over the world. Within my first year, we cleared 60 some odd countries, did that on repeat for 7 years. Got done with that and wanted to kind of live a normal life. So I started doing domestic contracting for a number of different countries here in the United States. Kind of chasing the page of working. And that's where I got experience working every client demographic that our industry has to offer. And I essentially just grew up in this game, got my first contract by the grace of God, literally. I've got, while I was on the road doing all that, I got a bachelor's and associate's, a master's in psychology, counseling and psychology with a minor in forensic psychology. I wrote a book called Finding Meaning After the Military. And now I own and operate a boutique private security company out here in Southern California called Bravo Research Group. And I also have a training company that's essentially dedicated to the mission of helping good people become more dangerous, said differently, willing, capable, and prepared to defend their loved ones. As I am a protector, I look to make the world a better place, a safer place, by multiplying protectors within the public. So that's really kind of what I'm up to, man. It's the mission set right now.
Well, me and you both are on that exact same page. Only a few people in my group know it yet, but I'm actually working on wanting to put together a training seminar and a conference out here in Memphis, hopefully by spring, if I can get everything rolling and set up.
Man, that's amazing.
And that's
awesome.
Yeah, that's why I was really stoked to have you back, come on my program and us actually get together again and do this stuff, because there's a lot going on, and I'd be lying if I said as a Christian and a protector that didn't have me a little bit on edge.
Yeah, man. No, that's the truth. There's always going to be a little bit of fear and a little bit of awareness, towards these things that are going on. The difference is what, we do with those emotions. The hero fights as a result of and in spite of, and even with a little bit of fear, but it's overpowered by faith, that gets us into action, that overcomes all that. But exactly. Both the coward and the hero are afraid. Make no mistake.
That's true. The difference is your common person is overwhelmed with the fear.
Yeah.
Your trained warrior, they understand how to accept it and use it to their advantage. Exactly. Fear makes you alert. It puts you on edge. It lets you know what's going on around you.
Yeah, man. No, it's fuel ultimately.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Stuff, man. Most definitely, man. So I wanted to bring you on because you did a podcast a while back, and it was actually about the training that you just finished up with, I think, the hard aspect, that kind of stuff. Well, you'd mentioned a subject in it that I've really been digging into, and it's something that I have to, keep up to date on with the ministry and the human trafficking stuff that we do. And I was hoping to get you on to elaborate on that stuff, and that is the common state of the enemy, the criminals and stuff that we're standing up against, that we're having to shelter our friends, our family, and our loved ones from, and be able to protect them from. Unfortunately, a lot of the people I talk to, even some of the businesses that I do security contracting for, they're still stuck in this mindset that you're dealing with average little criminal thugs that can't fight and don't know anything about computers. They basically look down on them instead of respecting them for what they are and what they can accomplish. And
Yeah.
I would really like to get your thoughts on that and hear
Hmm.
some of what you guys are facing out there, and we'll get into it.
Kick it around. Yeah, man. I mean, it's it's a protection strategy, you know, that I find in quite a few people, and many people, to want to dehumanize or to want to believe that your enemy is not capable, you know.
Yeah.
Um, it's an unfortunate protection strategy that can make you extremely vulnerable. The things that I speak about with, especially like Ed Calderon and his camp, and the things we're seeing out in the field, is just that the age of information has brought with it a number of a lot of amazing, very positive things that the darkness is still trying to figure out how to control and mitigate with regards to humans being connected and being able to communicate on such a high level, you know. But um, and find truth, you know. But the things that are taking place out in the field now is just the reality that we have a generation of evil or of criminals, criminal-minded people that have grown up playing video games that have taught them tactics. You know, I went to one of the best trainings I went to last year was I just went out and shot airsoft with a couple of my nerdy buddies that were like, "Yo, we're gonna go do airsoft." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, I shoot guns all the time. Like, I'll go do airsoft with you guys, whatever." And it was like the best workout slash training op, intense, and taught me the most about my actual capabilities in a firefight, more than like half the range time I had all year, you know? So we have a generation of humans who've been growing up playing war games, understanding tactics, understanding flanking and maneuvering, and understanding how to set in a proper ambush, and understanding, you know, the different stages to an effective ambush, and have had access. Now it's not about how smart you are, it's about how well you can leverage your tools, and have learned how to really penetrate people's lives through the internet and things like that, and through their social media, and understand how to use open source intelligence against you, and understand how to look at the geotags on your stinking pictures, and figure out where you were when you took them and where you are when you're posting them, and start to establish a pattern of life from you. And like, maybe you're like the secret squirrel, most ninja off-grid dude in the world, you know. But Aunt Shanae, when she came over for a barbecue a few months ago, is it? And when she posted that picture from your front yard, maybe that criminal's wise enough to know to check and see what pictures you're tagged in on Facebook, because those are the people that are going to give up the most information. And then there you are, you guys all standing in the front yard, you know, smiling. And then where did she post that? Oh, she checked in at your house. Imagine that. And now all of a sudden, you know, the people that are maybe hunting you, or really thought you had a really cool gun that you posted last week, are paying attention to when you're posting, or what you're doing online, so they can figure out when to hit your house when you're not there, you know, which isn't hard to do if you're active on social media. Um, and then there's information for sale. This is just open source vulnerabilities that most normal people have that don't pay attention to it. Um, there was a case earlier, I want to say last year, that was pretty interesting, where a criminal, and then one of the things we deal with in executive protection quite a bit is stalkers, you know, where a stalker was able to use the reflection in the eyes of a K-pop star, Korean pop star, and actually figure out her location, and actually got created an opportunity to sexually assault her at her residence by using the reflections in her eyes to track her. So we're seeing a lot of things like that. We're seeing a lot of penetration testing via social media on clients. We're seeing a lot of managing issues around client behavior online, trying to figure out how to mitigate that, because you can't tell your clients what to do.
Yeah.
The whole goal of security is to fit into their life in a way that's not intrusive. We call it seatbelt security. So if the seatbelt's uncomfortable, you ain't going to want to wear it. So we have to find out how to protect them based on their habits, you know. So it's like kind of the apex between gauging behaviors of risk and threat, you know, and figuring out where those vulnerabilities are. Um, So we're seeing a lot of different things like that, man, out in the field. And at the same time, there's some open source tools and things like that that can give us an edge. Another thing we're seeing out in the field is law enforcement's involvement drastically hampered, and where we could at once be like, hey, man, get off the property, otherwise we're going to call the cops and charge you with trespassing. You're going to have a bad day, and now we can't really do that because the DA's office just came down in a few counties out here in SoCal, and it's like we're not going to persecute uh, trespassing. I think there was one level stage of vehicle theft, and then I think the other one was resisting arrest.
Yeah.
So the powers that be in Cali are definitely determined to turn this place into Gotham City. So we're dealing with that. So those are some of the negative implications. Now we're living in a world now where you can call the cops if you want, they might not come. This is why, guys like us are important, to try to multiply protectors and help people become willing, capable, and prepared. I posted something yesterday on social media with this mom that experienced a kidnapping attempt on her family. Sweet woman, lovely woman, lived a beautiful life, but never really experienced trauma and was very much not prepared for it. And she was like a deer in the headlights the entire time, and she talks about it. But we need to equip ourselves with the software and the hardware to do the work that we hope we never have to do. Sorry, it's a long answer to that one, but
that's good. I like thorough. I don't want there to be any room for, but what if?
Yeah.
See, we've been dealing with a lot of that here in Memphis as well.
Grooming online, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the human trafficking cases, we get a lot of the girls that get abducted and put into it. It's from their online activities. They know where they're at. They know where they're going to interject and meet up and actually pick up these people, whether it be by force or whether it be by smooth talking them to actually come with them, and then drugs and everything else are involved. And that is a huge, huge problem. And people are never conscious of just how much data and information they give away every single day when they log on to Facebook, when they log on to Twitter or anywhere else. Even if you don't post any pictures of your home or where you're at, it's nothing for someone to track your IP address.
Right.
Figure out where you're pinged at. It's not that 100%. Complicated. And then here in Memphis, it's the same thing. This place is turning to Gotham City as well.
Really?
Rapidly, yeah. That's
too bad, man.
Yeah, it's on downhill course. I mean, almost straight off the edge of the cliff.
Man, I would think Memphis is America. It sounds like, maybe you got some country and some good people out there. Like some people maybe spread out, but
for the most part, it's being overrun with crime. Wow. And it's kind of a perfect storm type environment here. There's so much strain on the police department, and it's only getting worse. You have people that are quitting in droves, and that's because the city, I hate to say it, is crooked. Mayor on down, the businesses and everything else. I mean, they're hand in pocket with, some very, very corrupt people and the gangs and everything else. And the way that it is right now with the police, you have recruits that won't stay there for more than a year before they're gone, just because of what they have to put up with and what they encounter and what the pay and all that stuff is, and then the politics behind it. But they created a perfect storm this year where they reinstated the police retirements, or people that were eligible to retire. They had taken away their ability to retire with their full medical benefits, but that's being reinstated. And from everything I'm hearing, there's going to be a slew of cops that leave in January.
Just an exodus.
Making the situation worse. Yeah. It's already bad enough. I mean, I think there were over 200 carjackings one night last week simultaneously. And the criminals around here, it's not, take a Slim Jim, pop the lock, and hop in anymore. It's we know how to hack the Bluetooth to get in, shut off your alarm, and drive off in your vehicle.
Wow.
They've gotten bold enough to where they robbed a Mercedes car lot.
Wow. Jeez, man.
Yeah, like last week or the week before, I think. But it's gotten bad. And once the problem that we're facing, I mean, even here in the security industry in this area, is due to all the restrictions and lockdowns from COVIDs, where the restaurants can only do so much. it's burying security contractors. One of my friends lost quite a few contracts just in the last month because of the stuff. It's getting
Oh
bad.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I've seen both. I've seen in the private security realm things deplete around anything that is meeting centric, and I've seen things just supercharge around higher net worth families.
Yeah.
So like one part of my business went to sleep, the other part of my business became a monster. It's great. Um, yeah, I mean it's also becoming more important than ever to find clients that you align with as far as values.
Oh yeah.
Huge
That's
deliverable.
that's been the main focus for my company for ASOC. I've backed off of doing contracting for private security as far as businesses and stuff goes, and have been directing all my focus towards private residents, residential areas,
Yeah,
consultations, and things of that nature.
yeah, 100%.
But it's a sad and terrible mindset that people get in. Well, you served in the Marines.
Yes, sir.
I know that you spent time in the Middle East, correct?
Yes, sir. In
Uh,
Iraq, not
yeah.
Afghanistan.
Okay. Well, it's just like a friend of ours. He does human trafficking work overseas. And he's done Iran and Iraq, Afghanistan areas like that. And I've had the pleasure of working with him and some of the SEALs that he works with and everything else. And I was amazed at the difference between the culture there and what the enemy's capable of and the mindset of people here. And then I'm noticing it happen here between regular criminals and still the mindset of your average person. They tend to want to think of a criminal as this Stone Age Neanderthal with a club, and never give any sort of credence to the technical abilities that they have now.
You know, on that same thing, I held a hard skills intensive this last week or so ago, and we were all training. It was great. It was an amazing experience. We got hands on, got sweaty, got a little bloody together. In the endeavor of becoming better protectors, and one of the closing statements I made was, look guys, we did this training. It was great. It's amazing that we're able to spend this time together and get better together. What I want you guys to consider and pay attention to is the reality that just like I say, protection is more than just a job. It really requires a lifestyle. Your enemy is out there right now living a lifestyle of crime, living a lifestyle of evil, getting in fights in places you'll never hear about, doing dirty deeds for cheap, out there in the cold because they got to, living a life that is literally every single day is on the job training. They're predators dealing with predators, learning how to fight predators all the time. So you got to understand that when they run into you, you need to be living a life, have habits that will sustain you in combat of any type, because if it's just a training event for you, if it's just a one-off, hey, I think I have the skills now, you're not going to be ready for someone who's been living a lifestyle to be able to victimize you. And they've been up against in struggles with other killers and other hardcore individuals since they got in the system, or since they growing up, they've been broken their entire lives. So you got to realize that this is not a game, and you need to be formidable. You need to be strong. You need to have these tools. And if you don't, we win battles before we go to war. That's how it happens. We don't go to war and then hope to win.
Victory loves preparation.
100%, man. All the greats, Miyamoto Musashi and Sun Tzu, all said the same thing.
Yep. Well, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring you on, because I keep up with your podcast and even your motivational stuff that you put out, on the regular.
Thank you, sir.
And I like it because it's encouraging, it's uplifting. Unfortunately for me, I haven't really perfected that art yet. I'm too much of a realist at times, I think.
Yeah. I understand.
Work in progress.
Yeah, we all are, man. We all are. Just get in the ring. That's where the honor is. Heck yeah.
Well, it's
and here we are.
If you've been brought up in that world and it's something that you see on a regular basis, it's very hard to break out of that and stay and be uplifting and stuff like that. And I'm getting there one step at a time. And some of my favorite stuff is your field day tips and some of the stuff. Oh yeah, man, I watch that stuff all the time.
Heck yeah, field notes, man. Heck yeah.
Exactly, love that stuff, man. And people, it's not, I don't want to come across tonight as a message of, hey, everything's going to hell in a handbasket and it's going to be chaos and pandemonium and you don't know what's coming. But I think a little bit of caution is
Yeah.
a good thing right now.
Mhm.
Mind your surroundings, mind what's going on around you. Don't keep up with the mainstream media so much as you do what's going on locally. You know,
Mhm.
and all of that, because this is all intel. The biggest asset that I have in the ministry or in the security operations, just like you, is going to be intelligence. You know,
Mhm.
I have to know what environment I'm going into, what gangs are in that area, uh,
Mhm.
what cliques are rolling around, what type of weapons, what are their tactics they usually use, what can I expect?
Mhm.
Because anytime we go into those places, whether it's for an extraction, whether it's for a
Mhm.
security detail, or even whether it's for ministry, all of that stuff comes into account. All of that stuff comes
Mhm.
into effect. Uh, and it's just
It's
something that really has
important,
to be
man.
elaborated on and focused on.
Yeah, man. No, I think with regards to what we're facing, I think it's very important, you know, if we're talking as Christians, we have to look at what our examples, you know,
Yeah.
dealt with, man. And the greats in the Bible dealt with adversity. And the greats were designed to be rocks in adversity and bright lights in adversity and even to die. You know, our example, our great example, Jesus Christ died for what he believed in. And so did every single other disciple. All right, guys. So all this feel good stuff you've been taught in church, maybe just make sure you pay attention, and read the Bible for yourself because, all this whole like, oh, well, I hope we get raptured before it gets bad or things are so bad and God has a plan. Listen, that's all great. But the reality of this game is we're not supposed to be running from adversity. And in fact, we're going to be given grace to do what we need to do, but we're here for such a time as this. So
Yeah.
if you're living during a time like right now, that's like no other time that's ever existed that I can see when I try to look at history, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. And you better be prepared to do what needs to be done. If your theology is that we're getting out of here before it gets crazy, good. But personally, I'm a warrior and I'm designed to, I plan for a long fight. I plan for a hard fight. And I live my life every single day where I'm ready to make the ultimate sacrifice. And that's going to be an honor when that day comes. I think that's the strongest mindset. If we get a break and get yanked out of here, heck yeah, cool,
All right.
man. That's tight. Cool. But
So
in the meantime, I'm gonna be that one dude with the talents who was going ham and trying to make the talents make 2 into 4, make 4 into 8. You know what I'm saying? And so I can hear, well done, a good and faithful servant if I get, if I can. So, remember, guys, it's an honor to be alive during this time. It's an honor to be able to use your tools with regards to what God's given you and trusting Him during this time. We're getting to a time now where your physical ability and your tactical ability and all your abilities are not going to be good enough. What we're facing is huge. It is colossal evil on a grand scale. The businesses are in it. The industries, the medical industry is part of it. The media is all part of it. Everything, we are in Babylon right now in this country. So, you better learn, you, if you can't trust God, you ain't gonna have no peace. And if you can't trust Him to make the ultimate sacrifice, you're gonna have a hard time having that peace as well.
Well,
So
faith without works is dead.
exactly, and it's impossible to please the Father without faith. So you better get to
Exactly.
work, homie. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like, man, I just wanted to live my life. I wanted to have my little businesses work. I wanted to you just have to be good. But hey, Byron, guess what? You're a warrior. So guess why you're here for such a time as this? And God needs strong people with strong faith because they're gonna be few and far between, possibly, man. We got to hold the line. And that has and I'll burn some things down with this next statement, but that's got a lot more to do with just sitting there and praying for God to change everything. Has everything to do with being able to do some things, because when God wants to get something done on this planet, He sends the man. Want to know why? Because He gave us dominion. And so He has a body here, and what the body's supposed to do, carry out the orders. And you need to be a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightfully dividing the truth and able to put some action and faith behind the missions that we have here. Otherwise, you need to just go on ahead, get out the way, because you're not ready. Paul, I know,
Yeah.
Jesus, I know, but you, I ain't never heard of. You don't want to be that guy. So, hey, man, we gotta know where to put our faith and our actions.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest things I've come across in the church. It's been my biggest issue is there are too many people that want to curse the warrior and say what we do is wrong because they're pacifist. And I'm going to get in a lot of heat for saying
And they're
statement,
scared.
but you're cowards.
Exactly. Like, and they're scared. They don't know how to deal with it. Yeah.
I mean, we are on the precipice. I mean, the world, the way I see it, stands on the edge of a knife.
Yeah.
It can fall either way, or it can go straight down the middle into straight pandemonium and chaos.
Right.
We don't know what's coming tomorrow. Not positively. I know what I've seen. I know what God's told me that my job is.
Right. And I know what I'm believing
to protect his people. Well, if that's what my job is, and I better put, hammer to nail and get everything done so I can do what he's told me to do.
Yeah. And focus on your mission. The mission is focus on your mission. Prioritize, execute, control what you can control, prioritize and execute, and God will bless you on the way of being diligent at doing what you're supposed to do. And that's really the game, man. A lot of Christianity has been weaponized to lull us into a state of inaction and faith over action. And, as a young warrior, I had to reconcile it too, because they're like, oh, well, thou shalt not kill. And I'm like, how about thou shalt not murder? Okay. Because as I read the Bible, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of times where God was working with warriors to get some things done that only warriors could get done. Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed his tens of thousands. Okay. So, and he was a man after God's only person in the Bible that says he was a man after God's own heart. You know what I'm saying? So they've watered this thing down and feminized it and castrated it, and it's powerless. It's powerless for the masses that way.
Well, one of the most interesting things that I find scripturally speaking is the church has feminized Christ to an extent that it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
He's just some hippie pacifist that loves everybody.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't paint that picture of him at all.
At all, man. Read your Gospels.
Exactly. He wasn't afraid to confront people. He wasn't afraid to put people in their place. I mean, he called the Pharisee a brooding pit of vipers. And in the days of Christ, that was a heavy.
That's some fighting words,
right
man.
And then my favorite passage is in the garden, right? And I love the actual translation from the Greek and the ancient Hebrew and stuff. And because it talks about the group of soldiers that came to get Christ. Well, if you go into the actual language, the proper translation, the word used to describe the soldiers actually refers to a unit of close to about 300 men, heavily armed.
Wow.
Yet Christ said, I am he, with so much power and authority as the Lion of Judah, that they were afraid and fell back over upon themselves.
Right.
That's not cowardly.
Right, absolutely not. And
that is not pacifistic.
That's powerful, man. And then one of my favorite things with Jesus is like all the times the disciples are behind him being like, yo, no, man, we forgot the loaves of fishes, man. You tell Jesus. No, you tell Jesus. No. And he's like, what's up? And they're like, or like on the boat when they're like, yo, you wake him up. No, you wake him up. You know what I'm saying? Then he's like, ye of little faith. Or like when my all-time favorite is when they're like, he's blasting on the Pharisees on multiple occasions. And then there's this one line, and no one questioned Jesus about another thing. And that's it. And everyone left Jesus alone after that. And it's the masculine principles of accountability and discipline and strength and challenge. All these things have been extracted out of there, and it's like, this is one of the most bravest men in history to be as countercultural as he is and to risk being crucified and murdered and assassinated every single place he went for teaching a message that was blasphemous at the time. And now I got people out here running around afraid to be not PC. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a time in life when you need to speak the truth. You need to speak the truth, and you need to not care what people think, and you need to be graceful and gracious and articulate and able to give people a high quality answer from a place of compassion, love, and strength.
And
Don't fight them, don't get all, aggressive. No, this is the truth. This is what it is. This is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to stand up for, and this is what I'm prepared to defend.
And that's one of those things, but that also translates well into what we do as far as being protectors, even on a professional level, because I've never met anyone that wanted to sign a contract with someone that they didn't feel was real or that they could trust. And I haven't met too many people in our industry that do the job as well as someone that does know Christ and is saved, because 9 times out of 10, they are men of honor.
Yeah. That man of honor thing's a whole podcast episode right there. That's all. Yeah. You gotta know what you're gonna fight and die for, man.
Well, exactly. Man.
And that's the highest act of service.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're right. That man of honor statement, that alone itself, that's like a set.
Yeah, 100%.
What it is to be a man of God, to be a warrior.
Absolutely. And, I mean, in brief, that's one of the reasons I chose the Cairo as the symbol for the protector nation, is because it's a Christogram, it's Christ, in an image essentially, and no greater love than this, than a man that would lay down his life for his brother. That's the ultimate protector right there that we're talking about. By the sign I'll conquer, man. And that's the game, it's a picture of the ultimate protector. And when you're out there in the public and something happens and it's time for you to step up, I'm telling you, you're going to recognize that moment and you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to be that person that stands in front of evil and in front of between evil and the innocent? And more than likely, it's going to be just you and your God and the dragon, and you're going to have to get to work, and you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice yourself. Otherwise, you're going to probably think about that day for a long time, because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, or you weren't able to do what needed to be done. So that's the game. That's what we're here doing.
That's the reason why I chose Archangel.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, I've loved having you on. I'd love to do this again. Hopefully we can get our schedules worked out and go for a round.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your patience with me.
Oh, man. Dude, I get it. I know how chaotic my schedule can be and how it gets between training and consultations and everything else. So I totally understand. Man, I'm just glad to have another brother in the Lord like you that is in this industry that people can look to, and what you're doing is great. Being able to help people, not just have training and be protectors like men of God should be, but also what you're doing as far as the industry goes, man. There's been a need for that for a long time. And someone to be able to come out and be like, all right, look, I'll be the front person, and let's see how many people we can get that are good at this, and make the world a better and safer place, and make yourself a career while we're doing it. So I think that's awesome, man. So I got to tip my hat to you on that one. And
thank you.
It's been a real honor being able to do this show with you tonight.
Thank you, man. Jason, it's an honor to have you as well, brother. It's an honor that we're connected. I know it's for a reason and for a special time. And I honor you for the work you're doing in the world, man. Fighting your fighting the battle, and being part of God's body on this planet that's representing, standing for, and fighting for good, brother. It's honorable work. You're an honorable man. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be connected.
And so we're going to cut this one out for the night. Before I go, though, do you have any books that you'd like to recommend for the warriors out there? Something they can that'll help them get eye to eye and be able to see things from any perspective, or that'll help them in their own personal walk, even as far as God goes?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Books about warriorhood. I'd have to think about that one, man. Most of the books that I've read have been in the realm of personal development, and kind of self-help. I'd say, especially for folks that are just getting started on that journey, a book that really helped me start to really focus on where the battles won and lost and very often. And it's an old book. It's from like the 40s, I think. It's old, but the wisdom is timeless. Um, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, man. And it just talks about your thoughts and how you can shape your life through your thoughts. It's about a 45-minute listen. I used to listen to it for years, every, once a quarter. And I just be getting ready in the morning, put it on, and it just would charge me up and revive me. If I was going to say something about, honestly, one of the greatest books that I find refuge in, um, um, during times of extreme intensity, it would be the Book of Psalms, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
David's intimacy with God while he's being a warrior during some of the most trivial, trying times of tribulation in his life, it has given me such solace when I'm brought to my knees by life. And then obviously Proverbs is like the book that you should just have on repeat going at all times,
You should have it memorized.
It's such an interesting question because like the books that have contributed to my warrior perspective as being a Christian really are books of the Bible. That's what I just realized, and I let that out of me.
Well, and that's the way that it should be. I mean, commentaries and personal testimonies and stuff are great. They're wonderful for encouragement and building, but to get the real meat of it and build yourself up in God and His image is to be in the Word and study it.
The other thing I might add is the a few secular tools though that just came to mind is Left of Bang. It's a great book to help with your awareness in terms of recognizing things, and it's Yusuf Badu is one of the speakers I have at Protect Symposium who teaches that doctrine. Left of Bang is a great book. I had my whole church team get that book. I've had security teams all get that audiobook and listen to that book. And another one is When Violence is the Answer by Tim Larkin is another amazing book that help a civilian understand violence and the different types of violence and answers to violence and approaches to dealing with it. Those are two great books as well.
I said those are great. The only ones that I would even add to that list, I've got a couple for as far as physical prowess goes, and your average everyday stuff. I would have to say Sheep No More.
Okay,
that's a good one, and really helping you to understand how the enemy, how bad guys would see you and see their prey. I would definitely recommend On Combat by Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman. That's a great one for people to understand what it means to be in combat. The Gift of Fear.
The Gift of Fear is great. Just 2 Seconds is another good one.
Yes,
Gavin.
That's a good one too. And then as far as the subject we were talking about earlier, where you were talking about the guys now, they play the video games and stuff growing up and what that does to them psychologically speaking. Another one of Colonel Grossman's books, Assassination Generation, had a really good perspective on that one.
I have not read that one. I got to check that out.
It's a good one. Really good. Really, really good. I just finished it up last month.
Outstanding.
Other than that, spiritually speaking, I got to give it to Colonel Grossman again. I just read his one on spiritual combat. Really good. Really good. And he actually quoted a friend of mine's book in that one that I would recommend, Omega Dynamics by Jamie Walden.
Okay.
So get a chance to check that one out.
Yeah, man. I'm going to check all three of them out.
I know you read as much as I do.
I try to, man. That is the school that never ends. It's one of those valuable habits you can implement to your life.
Oh, definitely.
For me, audiobooks,
Oh, I do. God, I do so many of those. But man, it's been great having you tonight. We're going to end this program. Hopefully I'll have you back on again here for long. We get everything worked out. And to everyone out there, man, stay safe, carry, and watch your surroundings.